Hey folks, it's Stevie A doing a video to go with my Home Depot review of the Delta 12-inch sliding compound miter saw known as the Cruzer. I'm going to do a quick overview, show you some of the features, show you what I like about it, and show you kind of the good and bad. So without further ado, there is the saw. Just like to get this out of the way. First things first, this is a pretty cool looking saw. Looks kind of space age and all. The motor's mounted in a great spot. It's a fairly compact saw, and with that I'll jump into my favorite feature is the sliding arms here, or like hinges. And essentially what this is, instead of having those big metal poles sticking out the back, you got these hinges here, and these are really sturdy, strong hinges that hold the blade and the motor very well. This workbench here is about 25 inches deep, and I can make cuts on this, and when the motor and blade are up, the sawdust bag does not hit the back wall there. So you can I get 14-inch crosscut on 3/4 inch wood, so I can get that crosscut within 25 feet of workbench space, which is great. Crosscut can go up to 18 inches. Just to let you know how to do that, I read the manual. You got to remove the fence here, and then you have to stack wood, put another piece of wood here, and essentially takes a little work, but you get an 18-inch crosscut on here. So if you're looking for that 18-inch crosscut, just know it takes a little work. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust back to 0 degrees here. To adjust, you got your tightening knob here. You got your button you push. You can move it all around. You can go 60 degrees to the right, 50 degrees to the left. My last saw, the reason I wanted to replace it was it did not cut square. It was off about a ½ degree. I could not adjust that. However, on this saw, you can move this plate here and follow the instructions, and you can get your saw back in square. So there's a wood holder here. It's pretty good. It's kind of like the metal's a little texturized on the bottom here to hold it in. There's no clamp or anything, but it does a fairly good job of holding down your wood pieces. We'll go back to the hinges in the back. If you don't want to do a long cut or a sliding cut, you can use this lock here to lock it in place. And it's a pretty sturdy lock. To bring the saw and motor up, so I can do this with one hand. Just pull out this knob, and she comes right out for you there. So you can also do your miter cuts here, up to 45 degrees. To flip down or flip to the side the saw and blade, you just release the lock, and you'll see that little red button in the middle go away. Okay, so it's unlocked there. And then you're going to want to, I loosen these up, but you can slide your fences out pretty easily. They're secured on the back. And then this little flap here, flip this flap up, and then the saw, see if I can do this with one hand, it's a little tough, the saw will move over there. So got your saw down, you can do that. You can do your compound miter cuts with the angle down here. So with one hand again, let's see if I can bring this back over. It's a little tough. And we'll lock her back up so nobody gets hurt. Let's see if our red dot's there. That'll let us know if we're locked. And there's our red dot. We'll flip this back down. So the saw comes with a 60 tooth blade, carbide tip blade. This is a really good blade that came with the saw. It makes really smooth cuts. Cut into the wood very well. I had very little chips on the end of my cuts. So overall, a really great blade to get with the saw. And I'll point out here on the handle, the button to activate the saw. You can put a lock on it. So if you want to keep your teenage kid from operating the saw, you can put a lock on there. So that's kind of a neat feature of the saw. One thing I was kind of surprised about when I first heard about the saw, it does not have a laser on it. My last saw did. I didn't solely go off the laser, but you know, I always check with the blade, and with this saw, let me get down here. It's pretty easy to check with the blade as well. They left that little gap open there on the blade guard. Okay, I'll bring her back up. So fences lock back in pretty easy. You just tighten them in the back. I think I left out the sawdust bag. It's kind of made of like a burlap. It caught about 80% of the dust. I did a bunch of cuts yesterday to make a shelf for the kitchen. It caught about 80% of the dust on there. So to conclude the video now, I'm just going to fire up so you can hear the engine. It's 15 amps, which is pretty typical for a 12-inch saw, and it's pretty powerful. So I'll bring her out. Okay, cuts pretty well. The guard keeps things nice and safe. Overall, I really love this saw. I'm slowly falling in love with it. Cuts really great. It's really strong, and I love that I can get that 14-inch crosscut without having to make any modifications on the saw. And of course, my favorite feature is how compact the sliding mechanism is. All right, well, that concludes my review, and until next time, have a good one.